So my name is Corey Johnson. I am the head middle school track coach at Heritage Christian. I also am the long sprints coach at Soka Speed in the summer. I've been involved with track since I was in sixth grade. Um, I had a love-hate relationship with track up until I wasn't running. I originally went to University of Dayton to play football because I thought I was going to NFL. And so I was like, man, I'm just doing track because we don't have spring football. So I actually ended up missing it when I transferred to IU, ended up running for Coach Bethea. And so, yeah, and now I'm coaching and enjoying the journey.
Oh, that's
Um,
I didn't know you were an IU guy.
Yeah, this is one and only. That's why I gave you a little bit of okay because you was IU guy, but that purple and gold, I was kind of like,
Look,
whoa.
uh, I tell you, just because you want to wear that black and gold, it's okay though.
I'm
You got
just
one
saying.
color right.
Some of us know how to make good decisions in life. Others,
I know how to make great decisions. Ain't that something?
the jury's out on that one.
So what is it about this about track and field that made you miss it, that made you love it, for you to go ahead and be like, I'm done with football, I'm just gonna do this track thing?
Um, so I was in football and I was, obviously I said I want to go to the NFL. But our coach would make us run because when I went to Dayton, you couldn't have facial hair. And I didn't know that
mm,
when, I signed to go. I was like, oh, it's a D1 school and play football. And so when I got to camp, parents dropped me off. We have our first individual meeting. He was like, you got to shave. And I'm like, man, I ain't
mm.
doing that. And I had ran summer track. So when I came to camp, I was in shape. So he was like, well, you don't have to run a mile until you shave. So I'm like, okay, that's nothing. So I'm doing this before. I didn't realize he meant before every practice. So when we had 2 days, I had to run a mile. So I was late to meetings, lunch, all that stuff, just because I did that for like a week. Um, and then once it was track season, obviously in college it's football season still. And I was like, y'all got no track team to have women's track. So I went to a track meet and I was like, man, I still want to run, but I couldn't. And then I felt weird going when I came home in the summer, going to like summer track practices because I wasn't running and I was an adult. So I didn't feel comfortable going back, even though it probably wouldn't have been that weird. But in my head, I was like, well, I'm gonna go train with them. And then what if I end up losing? To say I didn't practice. Some high school kids, they get faster and faster. So I was like, man, I missed it. So I actually talked to I was already thinking about leaving Dayton because I went to North Central. And so North
Okay.
Central is a really big school, and
Yeah.
Dayton is really small. But I had an 18-year-old. I want to play football. Mine didn't care about anything else. Um, and so I talked to Coach Carter, who's your massage therapist, was my coach in high school at North Central. So I
Oh,
reached
wow.
out to him and was like, "Hey, man, I want to run track, and I'm thinking about transferring to IU, so I need to get back in shape." He takes me to Shortridge, obviously coming from North Central. I'm used to nice track, nice, amenities. He takes me over here. He's like, "You don't need just bikes." I'm like, "What?" We running on this dirt track. I'm like, man, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, man, I don't know if I really want to do this. He's like, this is college. And I'm like, man, I might just stick with football. And, he pushed me and I was by myself. He was like, if you run in college, it could be some days you run practice by yourself because your classes or whatnot. And I ran in like a couple, there were like all comers meets that summer. And I was like, man, I really still want to run. So I reached out to Coach Bethea as I'm in the process of transferring. Um, and I redshirted my freshman year. So I was like, man, I'm not coming to no school and not do nothing. Like, that's out. He was like, well, I can't guarantee you a spot. You gonna have to work for this because we got 400 runners. I was a 400 runner. So I went to practice and I was like, ooh. But I ended up sticking around, running. I ran with David Neville, which that was interesting.
Nice.
Uh, he's a shockingly fast. Uh, we was at practice, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be good." Then we got to a meet. He beat me like 3 seconds. I was like, "Okay, this is the truth." Yeah, so that's really how it happened, and then coaching kind of happened because my daughter, she was really in gymnastics. She was like 6 years old, and I was like, "Hey, you want to try track?" And the Cheetahs were around. Coach Edwards coached me when I was in little league football. So we went to one practice and she thought she was gonna have to quit gymnastics. So she was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, all right, cool. I ain't gonna push you. You gotta do it. The next year, she was like, I want to try it, but do I gotta stop gymnastics? I said, no, we'll figure it out. We did both. She loved it. And then coach was like, hey, can you help with this? They start asking me to help do stuff. You just trying to be dad. And next thing you know, you helping more than you wanted to. And then you start like, well, if I'm gonna help it, I might as well
Right.
coach. But then you like, I got a life. I don't know if I want to coach. But then it's like, if you're gonna be in, be there. So that's how I got to
Mhm.
coaching.
Nice. So that's dope. I think it's great that you're able to share like the football side and then the track side and showing not everybody gonna go to the league, but one thing that all sports need is running. It's
Yeah.
rare that you are gonna be able to avoid that. But walk us through kind of the evolution of the track program now that it's been under your leadership from the middle school standpoint, and then also with Sober Speed helping with long sprints.
Yeah. So Heritage last year, I was the assistant coach. And so I really got to I was focused really on the long sprinters. Because what I know about long sprinters is they either get put in distance group or they get put in short sprints.
Mhm.
And what happens is they're good for 200 meters, and then they can really run probably about 250, maybe 300, and they can't. They just don't have it. Nothing of their own doing. And so really what I did was focus on that group because I knew they needed some individualized attention. And I can usually persuade some people to run the 400 because I can talk about how fun it is. It's the best event on the track, in my opinion. That's a little biased, but all right. So we really I started to see what kind of what the breakdowns were and where they were breaking down at. And I personally walk athletes through the race.
Mhm.
So any parent that has seen me coach, they will see us doing some walking like the first couple of practice and pre-meets. We will like from the start of the race in any lane, we will say, I ask them, what do you do now? And then I always explain the first 6 seconds. I say, your body's not responding to any stimuli. And so you can give a little bit more than you think. And so really now I build a group of people that train together, but also
Mhm.
compete together. My
Mhm.
daughter and like her best friend both run. They compete against each other in the 400. But we also have some other girls that have grown a bond because they have this different work ethic. I tell them than anybody else. And so building that program to where they're confident to run the 400, but also now as a head coach at Heritage, it's me and then there's another coach, but she said, hey, I don't know anything about track, but I know you need help. So it's really me designing all the workouts. And I don't get as much break of the long sprinters and shorts. I just kind of have to put them together. But they are expecting advice from me in the 400 when they get nervous. And so really now I'm building that um, point where I'm like, hey, if you guys want to be here, act like it. Because today we had to have that conversation. Because I feel if you don't want to be here, I said, hey, we already took the picture, so if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here anymore. Um, you're gonna be in the yearbook, but it's just building that culture. Like you don't get to be disrespectful in any of your other sports. So why do you get to be disrespectful to track? You bring your phones to practice. Kids ordering DoorDash. I'm like, if you was at basketball practice, you wouldn't do that.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and so
They're different. They're different.
yeah, I'm like, you don't respect the sport. And so that's kind of the culture that I'm building at Heritage
Mhm.
in middle school because we had a couple kids that ran. One kid I remember distinctly last year, he came up to me on the first day of practice and said, Coach, I hate track, I do not want to do this, but my parents are making me. And I was like, I respected him for telling me that day one, like, but he worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end, he was like, you know what, coach, I like track. I'll be back next year. So that's the type of stuff I enjoy because you
Mm-hmm.
got a kid that tells you, that's honest with you, like, I don't want to do this. I'm only here because my parents are making me. And he, you know, I respect that more than a kid that's just like not working. Like, you really don't want to be here, but you don't want to say it. He was like, if
Mm-hmm.
he said, if I could quit, I would. So,
Mm.
um, it's just building a culture of kids that necessarily people don't know about because they are the heritage and they only can race who they race, and compete against who they can compete against because that's the schedule. So,
Mm.
Now, what happens is minimal coaches, and you have all these different events. Are you able to work in like the technical components? So like your jumpers, or are you hurdlers? How do you build that in, or work those guys into the mix?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, the beauty of Heritage is that the high school's practicing and the middle school's practicing, and Val's the head coach there. So, some of the more technical events, high jump, long jump, there's a throws coach, so I can kind of divide that up. Just finding a day where, hey Val, can I send the high jumpers over there? And granted, we only have one high jumper, and one high jumper trying to learn. She's just really afraid of it. And then long jumpers, there's a little bit of beauty because my daughter's a long jumper, so she knows a lot. She's kind of technical on it. I don't let her coach, but hey, I need you to go over there and get them warmed up.
Yes.
And so those type of things help a lot. But Val, I do rely on him, and communicate, hey, on this day, are you able to do this? We have a meet on this day. Can you help the day before, with those technical aspects of it?
Nice. Can you share a success story? And I'm sure there are probably plenty of like an athlete that did the unexpected, whether it was, okay, I kind of, how you have the kids, they're different. They don't have as much grit. You're teaching them like basic things, but by the end of the season, you were like, okay, like we did something. They surprised me.
So there's a group of girls that if you came up to them during practice, you were like, they never gonna run. There's a girl, this one particular girl, she was supposed to run the 100 at a meet, JV, and I had lined them up to where she was gonna run. She was gonna be like in the third group. And by the time she didn't go in that group, so by the time she went, it was gonna be her running by herself. So she didn't run. She just went off the track and was like, that's embarrassing. I'm not doing that. I don't want to run by myself. That's embarrassing. I was like, okay. So every day I would make her run by herself when we do drills and whatnot. And by the end of the season, she like was ready to, she was like, can I run varsity? She was looking to run, not trying to hide or anything like that. And
Mhm.
now she came to me this year and she was like, Coach, I only came back because you said you were coaching. And she was ready to learn. And so some of those kids that are like make the biggest impact on me are the ones that you probably never gonna hear about them because
Mhm.
they might run 15 seconds in 100 and 2 hours in the 400. But they sprinters. But they
2
sprinters.
hours.
And so they're asking me, one of the things I tell them all the time is I don't care if you win, I want you to run correctly. Because I say it's easy to be the turtle, you supposed to. And they like, well, duh. And I'm like, nah, but how do you look when you run? And when they can come to me and say, Coach, my arms were horrible. And they might even won. And so that's the wins, like they
Mhm.
realizing how they did. Cause the times are gonna be the times. I kind of know where they're gonna fall even before they run. But I'm asking them, like, how do you think you look?
Mhm.
Well, I know I was crossing my body, I said. And then when I can coach, give them cues when they're running and they can correct them, those are the wins that the parents
Mhm.
don't see or anything like that. But when lastly we had a meet against Southport and I was going, it was over and a parent came to me, he's like, your kids look like they know how to run. We lost. But to hear that, that means they're
Right.
looking, they look like they're technically sound, which
Mhm.
obviously as a coach, you're always looking at the technical aspect of it, not, did they win? Because sometimes you win and it really didn't prove that you're
Mhm.
that fast or slow.
Yeah, they beat the
Mhm.
turtle, right? They
Right.
they beat the turtle.
Exactly.
Now,
Mhm.
now speaking of like parental involvement, or mention the parents. How do you incorporate them into your program, or do you incorporate them into your program, or what kind of role do they have? Because middle school is typically a lot of squirrely kids, and you only have two coaches. So,
So what I do is every week I send a recap, and then before the meets, like I sent one tonight, I send what events they're doing. In that recap, I tell them what we worked on in practice, conversations they can have about with their kids. Because I have a daughter, she's 14. Conversations with them teenagers is good, yes, no. So one of the things I do is I don't tell them what events they're doing. I tell their parents. So
Mhm.
I said, if you want to know what you're doing, ask your parents. So then they have to have a conversation with them. And the parents, they send me, hey, Johnny's not going to be here, those things. But also, um, Southport, I thought that they were going to have enough timers to time the JV, but they weren't. They didn't. So what I learned, I say, okay. I asked the parents, hey, can I get one or two people to time for me at the next meets? And they sure enough said, two people said yes. They were ready to go yesterday. I had it printed out for them to just write the times down because, on Friday after the meet, everybody was like, what was my time? What was my time? What was my time? And I felt bad because I mean, it's impossible with
Mhm.
60 kids to really get everybody. It's impossible. But I thought they had some kind of app that was timing. I thought they were going to get all of them, but they didn't. So I want to make sure I'm giving those kids because when we did our time trials, I sent that to the parents because I told them in our parent meeting, I'm going to be transparent. So I said, in track, there's no politics. The times are the times, the marks are the marks. So if your kid's on a 4x1, 4x8, it's probably because they're at the top group. But a parent did. She challenged me on a 4x8 this past meet and said, hey, my daughter was number 4 in the time trial. Why is she on her 4x8? And, I was a little offended. But I was like, if you want to coach, you could come and coach gladly. But I understood as a parent, she saw the times and was like, by my
Mhm.
daughter, but I had to explain, the other 3 girls aren't running in the 4x8, some other kids.
Mhm.
And also, I care way more about their individual events than a relay. So,
Mhm. Mhm. No, that's good. It can become hard to navigate the parents, so that's good. You involve them, but also know when to hold them at bay. Uh,
yeah, woo.
so you talk to us about like it's clear that you have athletes that are coming back for club and for middle school, but how do you attract new talent? Because again, track isn't a sport that a lot of athletes tend to, oh yeah, I want to do that. You either love it or somebody got to say, have you thought about it?
Yeah. Um, with Soka, I don't uh do any like recruiting, but so my son plays baseball.
Mhm.
And so I'm the parent that when I'm not coaching, I'm literally a parent. I don't ask the coach, I don't coach need me to do something. I don't even want to do that. I want to be uninvolved except for cheering for my kid. But when I see it's hard being a running coach and you see kids running incorrectly. So then when I see a kid that is fast and they run kind of crazy, I usually give their parents pointers. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a pharmaceutical rep and a pastor. And they're like, you know all that from? And I'm like, no, I also coach. Um, and then they say, oh, can you? I was like, hold on, we not private. I coach teams. And like, oh, when do you guys start? And so it's usually
Mhm.
conversations about track and field. And then, and sometimes my kids are some of my biggest advocates because they always
Mhm.
like, your kids know how to run. I'm like, they all right.
hmm, I didn't know you were a
Yeah,
pastor.
right.
Busy man.
Now, when you have like looking towards the future of your program,
Mhm.
what do you think are some of the keys for continuing to grow? This is your first year, so like,
Right.
what do you think are some of those keys to kind of help your program grow?
It's really building a culture that track isn't just to like come hang out with your friends sport. Because I do want as many people as possible, and I do want the right kids to be there. Because some kids are natural leaders and they lead either off a cliff or they lead to somewhere. And so I had to have these conversations, obviously, with seventh graders and sixth graders and eighth graders that are natural leaders. And I'm like, hey, man, you can't joke around in practice. And I'm interested to know what else they do. Because, like I said, if they participate in another sport, you don't get to joke around as much as you do in track. And so it's building that culture like, oh, if I'm going to take this serious, I got to take this sport serious too. And just explaining to them that you, and I'm not trying to like discourage them. I'll say you have a higher opportunity of getting to college sports and track than you do in basketball, and you're only 5'8".
Mm-hmm.
And it's just me being honest. Like you 5'8" and you a center. Like
Yeah.
let's
No, we with you.
No,
I
we
we
just was talking about that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were just talking about that. There's only
yesterday.
so many spots for a 5'2" female guard. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know where you're going, but you could probably long jump 20 feet.
Right,
But
right.
5'2" guard, I don't know.
Say like you got LeBron James skill. I'm saying I see your parents and your parents are 5'10". Like you probably not going higher than maybe 6'2". So if you plan on playing basketball, let's look at the landscape of the sport. Like most
Mm-hmm.
people in the NBA, they 6'3" plus. And college, they don't want your high school kids no more. So
Right.
it's like, let's just like if you really want to do this or at least try it, open up your
Mm-hmm.
bait more versus just saying, I'm gonna just be basketball. I don't want you to stop playing basketball. I just want you to understand, what's out there as far as if this is something what you want to do.
Right. What is
Yeah.
their parallel plan instead of the
Right.
plan B?
Right. That's good. I'm sorry. I'm about to start using that.
And it's like, and to use that with the undergrads, like, what's your parallel plan? We're not gonna say plan B, just so
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because that's probably the hardest part. I mean, it sounds like it's a familiar topic with a lot of coaches now. I mean, because like Coach Ware said, we literally were just talking about that, and it's not to discourage them from the sport, but it's what else can you what else can you do? Now, how do you then translate that even to the parents again? Because a lot of parents want their child to uh
Yeah, be the all
they want
star
them
at
to they want them to
whatever.
go to the league. They want them, and again, it's not like trying to throw it a curveball at you, but just
Mhm.
because we understand that's a component of it too, where the parents are pushing, and then it's just like now track is getting a back seat to different clubs or and yeah, I'm probably venting a little bit on what we're seeing
Yeah, the
with
club
our
thing is
teams.
crazy.
But yeah, it's kind of a hard balance. So how have you, if you have at all, kind of like infiltrated the parent side of we're in track season right now, or this would be a great option or alternative for them going further?
Um, Middle school track, you don't like it's like I'm surprised how many parents like they send you right away. Like when we started, a parent was like, my kid's a diver, so state is on Saturday. So um we're gonna need to like we don't want him practicing Wednesday through Friday. As if I don't know how to taper a kid off for an event.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
like those type of things, like those other sports carry more weight in middle school. Now in the summer, the conversations are a little bit more candid because I can be honest, like, hey, I can pull up athletic.net all day long and say, this is where your kid falls.
Hmm.
And then I can say, and one of the guys I talked to, he went to NBA. I have a friend who went to NFL. And he believed the NBA guy, he was like, if a kid's paying to play AAU. He's like, odds are they're not good enough. It's not that they're not good; they're just not good enough. Because he said I didn't pay for anything,
Mm,
and he said, and he had a team. He's like, the kids that I wanted on my team, if their parents couldn't pay for it, it wasn't a problem. He
mm,
said, but I knew that who they were, and like you can have those kind of candid conversations in the summer because it's a different athlete in the summer. They committed per se
mm,
to the sport, and
mhm,
their parents are versus school. It's kind of I'm here to hang out with my friends. Some of y'all here to run. The rest, I'm just here,
Right.
to say I did something in school.
mhm.
But the other issue that I find is that like these sports that want to do the year round stuff, they all in everybody else's season. So I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah,
like basketball, like I was like, wait, I thought it was a cutoff. Like you
right,
can't start until after they play the state
right. I
tournament.
thought it was May, late May,
Yeah,
early
like when the
June.
state tournament ends, then y'all can start talking basketball. But they like in the middle, like we got a game next week. I'm like, ain't the state championship in a couple weeks? So I mean, it's like that stuff. Volleyball is like
Yeah.
forever in a day. Like when do these people
Yeah,
take an off season?
right.
It's some of this is conversations that aren't being had with coaches.
Yeah.
From my experience, like when the football coach doesn't understand how important it is for speed from their athletes, because the programs I look at in Indiana where they win state championship in football and then they're pretty respectable in track, their football coach is pushing track.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
pushing it. Now, when you look at schools, I'm a North Central alum. Uh, Football, ooh, we we struggle a lot. Um,
It's changing.
but it's changing. But you
It
also
is.
see kind of it feels like they're kind of like, hey, y'all got to do something
Yeah.
versus trying to steal all the athletes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, y'all got to go lift, but do y'all look around? We not winning, so let's
Yeah.
try something different.
Yeah.
So I think it's the conversations that need to happen amongst coaches. Like, hey, I'm not trying to steal your players. I can work around
Mm-hmm.
your schedule. In the summertime, we had some kids that play basketball, and all we ask is, hey, what is your schedule? And
Mm-hmm.
let us know up front, and then we can work through what you're trying to do, whether that's you got to go to basketball training or whatever. Because I get it. Now everybody's trying to get, there's 1,000 kids trying to get 2 scholarships. So everybody's trying to
Mm-hmm.
get that edge. But all I'm doing is say, hey, I don't want to take the edge away. I just want to add to it. So really, just conversations you have with parents, the other coaches, and then you just work through that. And so that's what we do. We try to do at SoCA. We try to, every kid got something else going on. No, there's few far in between that just do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's how I grew up doing one thing at a time. And then when that season was over, we went
To
to
the
the
next
next
one.
Roll
one.
into the next
That's
one.
what I
You're
did.
rolling to the next one, and
So
you
like
all year round, but you roll like it's
right.
track
Yeah.
ends, basketball ends, whatever
Yeah.
that ends next. Like it's
But Dr. Ware,
summer
this helps
track.
you. This
Huh?
helped you a lot because they don't build what I try to tell parents is you build other muscles doing those other sports that you don't build in one sport. And so then
Mm-hmm.
you wonder why you got a kid who's 18, they got like a 40-year-old injury
Yeah.
because they really got a 40-year-old. They've been playing. You look at basketball, they
Yeah.
playing 100 games in 2 months. And then you wondering why they tearing ACLs at 15. Well,
Right.
your ACL, it's got a time limit on it.
Well,
Right.
And
and
so,
not only that, you train two ways. Physically, yeah, you're training all the muscles, but the other side is neurologically, you train in brain development because you got to learn a new
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
skill. So
yep.
especially when they're young, like middle school, I'm like, do everything, but
Right.
don't get stuck in one thing at all. I think like to your at least sophomore, junior year, especially to your sophomore year, you should be all the way around. Just do
Mm-hmm.
your thing, one thing at a time. If you're playing AAU as a freshman, ain't nobody recruiting you. What's the point? It's like nobody's coming to get you as a freshman. They're not. They're not coming to get you as a sophomore. They're just not doing it. So it's
That's
like,
my favorite thing to say.
I mean, come on. Like they can't even talk to you. Like
No, like not at all. Not at all.
let's build the skills. Let's develop the athlete. Let's develop the kid, right? On all these
Mhm.
different levels. So that when it comes time for them to be able to choose, they can choose and not worry about being chosen. Because
Right.
Yeah.
I only do this, so hopefully somebody choose me. But if you got all these different skills, if I can play 3 sports, now I get to
Right.
choose which one I
Right.
like the best. I get to choose
Right.
which one I'm gonna roll with because which one
Mhm.
I enjoy the most. But
Right.
that part, as you can tell, that bugs me just a touch.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
I'm
it's
on
yeah.
board.
It's an open wound. It's an
Yeah,
open
it
wound.
really is. Because I'm just like, I mean, let's if and parents are spending all this money on stuff that is not necessary. Yes, they can get the skills. I get it, but do you need it don't need to overlap. Now you're just creating a bill. You're spending money to do two sports at the same time, and you're about to spend some more money fixing an injury from doing two sports at the same time. I mean, it is what it is.
Man, that's
So
my everyday is like, you got a basketball game, you got a soccer game. Well, coach, I'm not gonna be in practice, so I gotta go. So that's more important.
right.
And it's never a ask like, can I miss practice?
It's I won't be here.
I
It's
was
like,
letting
what?
you know.
That's
This was I was letting you know it's not happening. I'm not coming, but I just wanted you to know that I wasn't gonna be.
It's bold. It's bold.
Yeah, like we secondary.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, if I get my blood pressure up talking about that.
I'm with you. I'm right there with you.
Well, Coach, if people want to follow along, check you out, see how your team is doing, see how you're doing, what should they follow you on? Any social media?
Yeah, I'm on social media. My handle is live at your altitude. Most people, when they hear me, they hear this. And I say, thank God it's whatever day it is, Monday, Tuesday. And I give this quick little blurb about for the day so people can get their day started. So yeah, live at your altitude because I believe that you set the altitude. Now you just got to go live it.
Nice.
We appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the invite. Black and gold all day, but I expect the IU.
Oh, you got the gold. Oh, yeah, we got the IU thing. We agree on that. How about that?
Black and gold for Purdue. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We're finding a way to work this out here.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh man.
Being adults in the room.
You spread levels, so black and gold
spread love.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, all right. Have a good one.
You too.